Hello, and thanks in advance for spending your precious time with me. I'm delighted, honored, and excited to share some of my thoughts on how the interplay between product and go to market impact growth for your startup. This presentation is part one, the introduction of a seven-part series on aligning product and go to market to help you unlock growth for your startup. I hope you'll check out the rest of the series, and let's get on with it. First, a little bit about me. I've been a student of entrepreneurship throughout my career, spanning more than 27 years. Whether working at large companies, startups, or founding companies of my own, the steel thread has always been a passion for taking an idea to market and building a business around it. And it's been through that experience that I've worked in nearly every role in a software company, providing me with an unusual systems understanding, insights, and perspective on how to build a new business. Today, I advise startups from these wonderful institutions on product and go to market. I work with VCs, angels, and accelerators and help their companies align product and their go to market to unlock growth. Throughout my career and journey, I'm constantly identifying opportunities to synthesize experience, knowledge, and perspective into holistic, practical frameworks that I use to help entrepreneurs and their companies. I've lived through many situations and I want to help startups avoid mistakes I've made. In addition, these key lessons keep me centered when I'm working with entrepreneurs and their companies. The foundational point is understanding that startups are not like other operating companies that have a repeatable business model. In fact, as Steve Blank likes to say, a startup is an organization in search of a repeatable business model. And we're going to dive more deeply into that later in this presentation. So, congratulations. You've completed one of the most difficult phases of building a startup, getting a product into the market and building a team around the product. However, now you need to grow the business. So, as we move forward in this talk, I want to clarify a few assumptions. First, you have an enterprise product in the market. Two, you've raised some money, whether that's from an angel, a seed, maybe a Series A. You're growing toward $100 million a year in revenue, and you think that's a good target. And of course, you've planned some additional fundraising or some other liquidity event, or maybe you're growing toward a B round or some other exit. So the big question, do you believe your company has reached product market fit? Why or why not? Well, how do you know? How do you know if you've got product market fit? Think about this one. What are the signals from the market, the customers, individual users? It's all about growth. And especially for startups, it's about growth over time. And it looks a little bit like this. A little bit of variability there in the beginning, then it kind of smooths out. And then if you're lucky and your timing is right and you've executed well, maybe you get that proverbial hockey stick growth on the right. But where does product market fit begin in this whole curve? I call this first stage of growth product problem fit. It's the part of the journey where you have developed a concept or a minimum viable product, and you spend dozens, if not hundreds, of meetings talking with customers, validating their problem and iterating on your solution. So, if the first phase is problem solution fit, then where does product market fit begin? Product market fit occurs after product problem fit. You usually realize you've reached product market fit only after you've been there a while. You reach product market fit when you have a couple dozen target customers using the product to solve a target problem. And they're willing to be a reference to help you acquire additional customers. Again, the key to product market fit is obtaining a substantial number of paying, referenceable customers. Now, it's very common for startups to achieve product market fit, but not start scaling. Aside from growth being somewhat flat, some of the symptoms that occur are when maybe the founder is involved in every single deal, or sales predictability is low, or maybe it's such that every deal has a slightly different way to close it. So, is the answer to just spend more on marketing and sales? Dozens of key experiences within my career taught me that growth depends on more factors interplaying between product and the market. I learned that too many companies try to prematurely scale when they were at the problem solution fit or even at the product market fit stage shown here. As we discussed, this is a high risk move and the stakes are potentially high, ending the company. What's needed is to focus holistically on the go to market aligned with the product strategy. So, what happens when you scale resource input before you have product market fit? Well, Steve Blank calls it premature scaling, when you scale up before you have product market fit. In fact, 74% of high growth internet startups fail due to premature scaling. 93% of startups that scale prematurely never break the 100K per month threshold. So here's the big idea. Growth requires more than product market fit. Growth requires product go-to-market fit. You know you've reached go-to-market fit when you have a predictable, repeatable, and scalable sales process to find and win new customers. And in fact, startups that scale properly grow about 20 times faster than startups that scale prematurely. So, in a way, your product defines your go-to-market, and your go-to-market defines your product. And your startup's growth depends on the alignment and the balance of these two. So, having seen this many times in my career, I created this framework that you see on this slide to depict the relationship between all of the go-to-market components, between product, pricing, market, channels, and the sales model. The green box around the diagram encompasses what I call product go-to-market fit. So we're going to talk more about each of these examples in the rest of this talk. I liked my framework, but it looked a bit too complex, and I wondered how it might be simplified. Then I had a meeting with Mike Edelhart, the managing partner of a VC firm, Social Starts, and he asked me to present this topic of product go-to-market fit at an upcoming founder training event for his portfolio companies. At the time, I hadn't done much research into other frameworks, only the run-of-the-mill product market fit discussions you find on the internet. Then I discovered a more elegant framework from Brian Balfour. His market, product, channel model fit framework is beautiful, elegant, and incredibly practical. However, I felt that the model was missing a critical piece to the go-to-market puzzle: pricing. I've enhanced the model by adding pricing as the fifth and central pillar of a go-to-market strategy. So there are 5 critical pillars to a go-to-market plan. First, your product. This is your solution, your product, your service. Pricing. It's how you monetize and at what price. The market is all about which customers you target and what jobs to be done those customers have pains and gains that you want to solve. The sales model or the model, which is how you sell to your customers. And finally, the channels. These are the routes to your customers, how you reach them and how they buy. The key point about aligning the 5 pillars relates back to an earlier point in this talk. You must align what you can control to what you can't control. This slide shows you have complete control over your product, your pricing, and your sales model. So you need to align those to what you do not control, the market and the channel. Let's take a closer look at how to align these 5 pillars in the remaining 6 parts of this series. Well, that's a wrap on part 1 of the 7-part series. Before I let you go, I'd like to challenge you to the 72-hour rule. I learned this from my years at VMware with Carl Eschenbach leading the field organization. Put what you've learned to work within 3 days or risk losing it. And that's it. Thank you for following along this far and for spending so much of your time with me. I hope this was helpful. Please reach out to me with your feedback, your thoughts, your questions, and be sure to check out the remaining parts of this series on aligning product and go-to-market to unlock growth. Thank you and be well.